Hi everybody, welcome to our virtual natural science class. In this unit we are going to study fish, amphibians and reptiles, okay? The two first groups about vertebrate animals that we were studying on natural science were mammals and birds. Of course, you know that they are vertebrates, okay? They are vertebrate animals because they have backbones, they have bones. And now we are going to keep studying that, the vertebrate animals, with the fishes, amphibians and reptiles. Let's going to start with the first group, fishes. What can you tell me about fishes? Can you tell me anything? Do you know anything? You could do a brainstorming at home if you want. Let's going to start. Fishes. What are the main characteristics of fishes? You have to know that fishes only live in water. All the fishes can live in fresh water, agua dulce, like for example in rivers, lakes or ponds, or also fishes can live in salt water, like for example oceans or rivers. You have to make the difference between fresh water and salt water. And it's also really important for you to know which fishes live in fresh water and which ones live in salt water. Another characteristic about fishes is that most of the fishes eat other fishes. So that means that they are carnivores, okay? Do you remember that if an animal eats another animal, this is because they are carnivores. So you have to know that most of the fishes eat other fishes. Few of them eat plants. What do they use for breathing? They breathe through the gills. They use their gills for breathing, for taking the oxygen in the water. Also, you have to know that they are oviparous. They lay eggs in the water, okay? If you are asking yourself, how do the fishes reproduce themselves? Through eggs. They lay eggs in the water, and that's the reason why they are oviparous. The body of the fishes is covered in scales, las famosas escamas, okay? And finally, for moving around the water, they use the fins, sus aletas, okay? These are the main characteristics that you have to know about the fishes. Let's going to continue now with the second group of vertebrate animals that we are studying in this unit, the amphibians. What can you tell me about amphibians? I think that the most famous amphibian that you know is the frog, but we have some others. Okay, the main characteristics about the amphibians is that they are vertebrates. All of them are vertebrate animals. They are oviparous. They reproduce themselves through eggs. They lay soft eggs in water. But what happened in the amphibian world? That young amphibians and adult amphibians, both of them, they look like really different, okay? You have to make a distinction between these two groups. You have to know that young amphibians are really different from adult amphibians. That's why I have written for you the main characteristics of these two different groups. So, what happened with young amphibians? They live and they grow in fresh water, en agua dulce. They eat plants and also they eat algae. So they are like herbivores. They move through the water using their fins. And finally, you have to know that they breathe through the gills. okay? This is everything related with the young amphibians. What happened with adult amphibians? What happened with the adult amphibians, okay? You have to know that they live in both places. They live in water, but they can also live on land, okay? Most of adult amphibians, they are carnivores. They feed on other animals, okay? They need other animals for surviving themselves. They move using their legs, okay? Young amphibians use their fins, but adult amphibians, they use their legs. And finally, adult amphibians, they breathe through their skin and also they use their lungs, okay? These are the main differences between young amphibians and adult amphibians. Well, and let's going to discover now everything about the last group of vertebrate animals, reptiles. What do you know about reptiles? Can you tell me any example about reptiles animals? Okay, let's going to start. The first thing that you have to know about reptiles is that all of them are vertebrates, okay? They have a backbone. Reptiles also live in water or in land. Think about crocodiles. Crocodiles can live in water and also in land. They can live in both places. Most of the reptiles are carnivores. Why? Because they feed on other animals. A small group of reptiles are herbivores because they feed on plants. But most of them are carnivores. How is the reproduction in the reptile groups? They are oviparous because they lay eggs on land. They are not like the amphibians. Amphibians lay eggs on the water. But in this case, reptiles lay their eggs on land. They use their lungs for breathing. And also you have to know that all the reptiles have 4 legs, except snakes. As you know, snakes, they don't have legs. What happened with the bodies? The bodies of the reptiles are covered in dry scales or a hard shell. And now let's going to finish our unit talking about the ecosystems and the different adaptations that living organisms, animals, people can have. Okay? So, first of all, what is an ecosystem? If we want to talk about an ecosystem, you have to know that an ecosystem is all the living organisms and non-living organisms that interact, that live with each other in one place. And now you will be asking yourselves, but teacher, I don't understand that. What is an ecosystem? I'm going to try to explain you for you with your words. An ecosystem is a place where all the living organisms, people, animals, plants, and also the non-living organisms, like for example a car, a school, a bus, a plane, where all the living and non-living organisms live. Okay? All the living and non-living organisms live in one place, and they interact, ellos interactúan between them. They interact with each other. That's the ecosystem, is where all the living organisms and non-living organisms interact with each other in one place. Okay? And we are also going to talk about how living and non-living organisms adapt themselves to live in that place. Why? Because it's not the same for the living organisms to live in a desert, in an ocean, in a mountain, or maybe in a rainforest. I want you to talk about the different ecosystems that we can find in our planet, the Earth. In our planet, we can find four main different types of ecosystems. We have the deserts, the oceans, mountains, and also the last ecosystem is the rainforest. Deserts. Deserts are very dry places. During the day, they can be really hot, but in the night, at night time, they are extremely cold. As you can imagine, on the deserts, there is no vegetation. There is not too much vegetation. And, well, there are some different animals. How do you think plants and animals can live in a desert? Well, plants and animals, they need very little water because, as you know, in the deserts, there are no water. And also, plants and animals in the deserts, they can live, they can survive in extreme life conditions, of course, with extreme temperatures. So, plants and animals in the deserts can live with very hot temperatures during the day, and they also have to live with really cold temperatures during the night. They live in really dry places and they don't have water. Okay? Let's going to move to the second type of ecosystem, the oceans. The oceans can be warm or also they can be cold. In the oceans, we can find aquatic plants, fishes, mammals, like for example a whale, or also aquatic animals. Plants and animals in the oceans, they can live in salt water. They have to adapt themselves to live in the oceans. And why I am saying that? Because as you know, in the ocean, as I said before, we have salt water. So, plants and animals are adapted, están adaptados for living in salt water. Okay? This is the adaptation for living in the oceans. Also, we have to talk about the mountains, the high mountains. What happened here? This is the third ecosystem. As you know, the mountains are regions which are very high. You have to know also that there aren't a lot of trees. But for example, we can find some plants and some animals on the mountains. Okay? You have to know also that the animals that live in the mountains, they have thick fur. What's that? They have fat under their skin, grasa under their skin for surviving with this temperature, okay? Because on the mountains, the temperature is really cold. What happened with the plants? Plants are also adapted to live in the mountains. Why? Because the plants that are always growing in this kind of ecosystem, they are plants that can survive in cold temperatures. Okay? And we are going to finish with the rainforest. What do you know about the rainforest? Rainforests are wet places, lugares muy húmedos. And also in rainforest you can find a lot of trees, plants, animals. Okay, there are a lot of different types of animals. What is the adaptation that you can find in the rainforest? Animals in the rainforest, they have to camouflage, okay, to avoid being harmed for another animal, okay. Also, plants which are growing on the rainforest, they don't need a lot of sunlight. These are the adaptations that animals and plants can have in the rainforest.